So you want to make a brew with big citrus flavor. Y'all ever drink Ecto Cooler as a kid? Citrus drinks are just so light and refreshing, and they really remind me of either breakfast or summertime, depending on the citrus brewed. But there are some ways that fermenting citrus can create a homebrew that tastes really pungent. So let's take a look at why fermenting citrus does what it does, and 5 ways of getting a citrus flavor into your homebrews without risking failure. If you're looking for big, bright citrus flavors in your homebrew, don't just go throwing citrus juice into primary and hoping for the best. See, citrus juice it's got a lot of stuff going on, and how it was juiced and where the juice came from can create different issues in your fermentation. Even fresh juice can end up having some weird flavor issues. Oftentimes you can get away with fermenting lemon or lime juice in primary, but orange juice and grapefruit juice can come out thin, flabby, pithy, overly bitter and astringent. It's just not a good time. And fermentation can strip some of those delicate and nuanced aromatics and flavors, leaving your fermentation feeling kind of muted or sometimes even harsh. And add to that, excessive acid in primary fermentation can actually kind of kneecap your yeast and prevent fermentation from really taking off in a way that gets you through to the finish line of a dry ferment. Layering even more complication on top of that, commercial orange juice is often packaged with ethyl butyrate, which is in there to enhance the orange flavor, but after fermentation, it can be kind of noxious and taste a little bit like vomit. And so you definitely don't want to be fermenting ethyl butyrate because you're basically on the road to disaster. If you're really committed to using juice in your fermentation, save it for secondary. And ideally, you would save it for after stabilization in something like a mead or a wine. But if you're using it in beer or cider, you really want fermentation to be done and the yeast to have started dropping out before you add that fruit juice, because at least then, as it ferments, it'll be a slow and gentle fermentation. But the ideal is to never ferment citrus juice if you can avoid it. But I have some better options for getting citrus flavor in your home brews, and here they are. Number 1, Zest in secondary. Now, you can add zest in primary. That works, but the aromatic compounds are so small and light, a lot of times they can travel out of your fermentation vessel by just riding the CO2 up and out through your airlock. And, yeast can be chewing on those compounds too if there are any sugars involved, and so they might be getting destroyed there as well. But adding zest in secondary tends to preserve all of the flavor, and you can kind of dose it. If you're making a lime beer, add 1 lime worth of zest per gallon. Taste it after a couple days, and if you need more, you can just add more. Zest adds flavor by exposing the citrus oils, and those are the same oils that they use for things like 7-Up and Sprite. They're big and bright, and they're very characteristic of the citrus fruit they come with. And also, they don't really add any sugars, so there's not a big concern about re-fermentation potential. You want to use a rasp or a microplane, and your goal is to only take off that very outer layer of zest. You don't want to get any of that white pith because it's very bitter and astringent, and you can overdo the pith really quickly. The notes can be subtle, but they are characteristic, and I like the fact that you can dose it fruit by fruit, so you're adding just the right amount. Number 2, Zest Tinctures. To make a zest tincture, you would do the exact same thing I just described. Use a microplane or a rasp to take off the zest, and really pack a jar full of zest. Then you'll add grain alcohol like vodka or Everclear and let that steep for at least 2 or 3 days, but a week or 2 weeks isn't going to hurt. It's going to extract all of those volatile aromatics, and they will become suspended in the ethanol. And then you can dose your brew using that tincture. It will taste and smell very strongly of citrus, and a little bit goes a long way. But if you have to add a lot, do be aware it will up the alcohol by volume in your brew because you're adding ethanol directly to your brew. Tinctures are fantastic for dialing in the precision of your citrus flavor. Number 3, dried citrus peel. You can get all kinds of different dried citrus peel. You can get granules of lemon peel, you can get sweet orange peel or bitter orange peel, and you add it just like you would a seasoning or a spice. A little bit goes a long way, and generally I start dosing at about 1 teaspoon per gallon if we're talking about something like sweet orange peel. It infuses its flavor rather quickly, so in 2 or 3 days you can kind of have a good idea of how much flavor you got out of it. And just like fresh citrus zest, you can use dried citrus peel to make a tincture. A lot of people would call that bitters. Now, using dried peel, whether it's directly in the carboy or made as a tincture, is going to give a drier, earthier, sometimes a little bit woodier flavor than what you're going to get from fresh peel. It's dried, it's a little bit oxidized, and so it's just a different flavor profile, but it might be the flavor profile you're looking for. Say you've made an orange flavored session mead and you need just a little bit more orange backbone in there. You might use a little bit of dried orange peel and a little bit of fresh orange zest to give it kind of a wombo combo of additional orange flavor. Number 4, one of my favorites, kveik Voss yeast. Kveik Voss is an ale yeast from Norway, and this one is really simple. You pitch your yeast just like any other yeast pitch, except you ferment it warm. Keep it above 90 degrees, generally below like 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That range of 90 to 105 degrees causes the yeast some stress. Not a lot of stress, but enough stress that it really starts producing big esters. And the ester profile of kveik Voss is orangey. It's got orange peel, orange zest, orange marmalade, really dense orange flavors. And it's a nice complement on top of brews that would support orange. So, say for example, you were making a Belgian white. You might consider replacing your yeast with kveik Voss so you get some of that big orange flavor in addition to that fruity wheat flavor from the beer. I know this might sound like sacrilege, but if you're not playing with your yeast, are you really homebrewing? Kveik Voss is a great yeast for both meads and beers, as well as mead beer hybrids. That's called a braggot. But consider using it in ciders as well. A little bit of an orange top note to kind of ride the glass over that fermented apple flavor can be really nice. And of course, you can do actual citrus additions also. So fermenting with kveik Voss and then adding a little bit of fresh orange zest in secondary can create a nice cohesive orange flavor. And lastly, citrus honey. At CraftaBrew, we carry orange blossom honey, and it's really, really good quality orange blossom honey. And orange blossom honey provides a nice, sweet citrus note, kind of orangey, but also kind of just generally citrus. You can also get lemon blossom honey, which is really fragrant. It's a really interesting, almost tropical kind of flavored honey, but it adds citrus notes also. It can be generally a little bit more expensive than orange blossom honey, though. Orange blossom honey is great for meads, especially session meads. That orange blossom flavor comes through really nicely. But if you're making a honey ale or some other kind of braggot, orange blossom honey is one of those honeys that really cuts through that malt flavor and gives you kind of another top note of flavor to complement the beer. Now, you can use regular old wildflower or clover honey for a honey ale. But if you use lemon blossom or orange blossom honey, you're going to be adding just one more element that enhances the complexity of that beer. Orange blossom honey has such a nice, subtle, and sweet citrus flavor, and I often find that those nuanced flavors really do well to persist all the way through to the other side of fermentation. Fresh juice in secondary can do fun citrus things, but there are better alternatives. Citrus zest or citrus zest tinctures can add a nice fresh and bright citrus character, or dried citrus peel can give you a deeper and more earthy and more grounded citrus flavor. Or you can go with a fun yeast like Voss kveik that puts out big citrus orange marmalade flavors that complement a beer, mead, or cider really well. But if you're just trying to keep things simple and you want to add some orange flavor along with your fermentable sugars, orange blossom honey, lemon blossom honey, also great choices. We want to encourage you to experiment with all things citrus in your brews, especially around summer and fall. That's the perfect time to have a nice orange or grapefruit flavor hanging around in your homebrew. But I'm curious, drop a comment and let us know, do you have any advice for how to get a good citrus flavor in your homebrew? Throw a comment down in the comment section and let us know. And make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss any upcoming content from us here at CraftaBrew. I'm BC, here for CraftaBrew. Until next time, I hope you've got good things brewing.